Hello again, thank you for joining me for another video. Just as a reminder, on this channel I talk about Kundalini awakening, specifically in the population of people who have severe childhood PTSD or acute PTSD from other events and have experienced a spiritual awakening and the energetic shifts that come from the Kundalini helping to guide the process of healing. It's a different state of being that I haven't heard discussed enough with enough clarity in what we're exposed to online, for example. A lot of people are really good at talking about the psychological aspect of things, perhaps the emotional aspect of things. You also have another box of people who are talking about spiritual awakening in terms of enlightenment and very theoretical concepts related to spirituality. But the Shakti energy, that Kundalini energy, our Christ-centered Holy Spiritness that takes over and guides the healing process, is a very unique place to be after you've been, your nervous system has been damaged from extensive trauma and the inability to escape the trauma, which is how some of those pathways get laid down so severely that it really takes quite a bit to reestablish yourself and the wholeness and sense of integration that makes life not suck. So that's what the channel's about, just to clarify. It isn't just a, hey, if you're a spiritual seeker, let's talk about it. It's specific to people who've had dysregulation in their nervous system due to trauma and how that plays out. So it takes a bit of work and effort to stay disciplined and stay in the practice and stay focused and motivated. So today I wanted to talk about toxic boundaries because, number one, I just discovered, so once you get your energy systems all back online and you're kind of, okay, reality is responding, there's a mirrored aspect here to the way things work. Once you kind of notice that you're back in communion with tangible reality. Because what happens when you are traumatized is you dissociate. So reality is happening to your body, which is largely going to be attempting to avoid the malware that is trauma, that is attached to your nervous system, where stupid things like maybe the smell of coffee or the color green or some obscure thing, a pineapple, will suddenly become attached as a threat because it's red in your system. It's this, the best word for it is malware. It gets imprinted onto your nervous system, and then actual reality that most people are experiencing no longer is relatable to you, and then you get more and more and more isolated, and that becomes even more traumatizing. And then if you have the urge to, if you have the grace show up in your life to break through all of that and to rescue your beautiful little soul, it is quite profound. You don't, you no longer wonder, is any of that real? You know for sure, because the love comes in and grabs your soul and reminds you very, very specifically. And then you have to integrate that too, which is another task entirely. And so in that context, I'm talking about toxic boundaries. So you have some energetic push and pull with the reality you're living in, and some psychic sensitivities, right? And so then what can happen is you can put up energetic boundaries to keep yourself safe. So what you used to do before you were, more of your spiritual systems came online, when you place that into an energetic context, you it's going to be honored in a different way than boundaries that are crossed when you're a small child or kind of sleepwalking through life. When you are present and aware and then you place boundaries up, they're going to stick. And so you might inadvertently recreate the isolation that kind of perpetuated the whole thing to begin with. You know, which is kind of the goal of that malware, isn't it? So, very effective. Very effective. So we have to be conscious of it. We have to notice it, the subtle places it shows up, so that we build workarounds to this, that sense of fear, abandonment, isolation, toxic shame, guilt, all of those things that are out of alignment with what reality is actually presenting and why it's presenting what it's presenting. Like, you can have bad things happen to you and then simultaneous to that have heard stories that somehow convince you that you deserve to be punished. So now you've connected an event that was really just an act of unawareness, like sleepwalking. So if you're walking around with your eyes closed, chances are you're going to bump into something, and that isn't a moral failing. Once you have your eyes open, if you purposely go after somebody to attack them, that's a moral failing. What happens, however, is that we punish ourselves and believe we deserve to be punished for things that we were doing with our eyes closed. We might have even been purposely blindfolded by somebody else, somehow obscured from seeing reality for what it is and how we are consciously interacting with as part of the whole. So we can create these boundaries that keep everybody out, even the good people. I realized that I had boundaries set up where it was basically, well, you had to be like Jesus level good before I trusted you to come close. Buddha level, like you had to have done some serious work on your spiritual self, and to be simultaneous to that, be aware and not living in confusion about the state of suffering that most people are in, and how that came to be and what would need to be done to get them out of it. Like, I'm not okay with just like ignoring that whole, you have to hold it as a thing that's happening to people without dismissing it and not letting it subsume any potential you have for joy yourself. Part of the way I got out of my intense suffering was believing that joy was possible. And the only way I could believe that joy was possible was seeing people have genuine joy. The best kind of joy comes from people who are not deceiving themselves. And so I set really pretty big markers on how much is this person deceiving themselves. Because there's a difference between not knowing stuff and deceiving yourself. Like, I think we all have a little bit of not knowing, right? But we also, as a defense mechanism, because we haven't figured out yet how to deal with other people's suffering, might be deceiving ourselves about the implications of that, of whatever that may be. So I realized that my energetic boundary was not attractive. I would sit here feeling horrible for being alone and feeling rejected often, and all of the defensiveness that comes from that. Just like, why doesn't anyone like me? And those kinds of feelings. And also, having these like a huge minefield that they would need to wade through to get close enough to me. So the energy was dangerous. And even people who aren't exceptionally sensitive can still sense danger. And so I just kind of created this little microcosm, and I needed it. I needed the safe space to heal. I needed to know that I had the ability to block out everybody if necessary, and sit alone, and in that state of being alone, find peace. For me, it was necessary. I had to go to that great lengths. But now that I have gone to that great lengths, now it's looking at how do I reestablish my energetic field, not as a toxic boundary that's going to hurt anybody that comes too close, but as an attractive boundary where I am free again. I don't have to limit myself, because part of that energetic boundary of keeping people away means I don't shine too bright externally. I don't want anyone to see and get attracted to me, because then I have to deal with this whole boundary issue that I have. Right? So you like simultaneously dim your own shine, get everybody else. So how is your soul getting fed then? Only grace. Now this is great for building faith if you need to have your faith built, but I wouldn't recommend it if you are weak in that department. Not recommended. So we do that, I think, very almost secretly, almost sneaky with ourselves. We put up these energetic shields. Sometimes we do it very consciously, and we should, right? Like, don't let anyone into my energetic field that wants to, stabby me. No stabby, no hit me in the face, no, like you could and should put up energetic boundaries. Let me feel far ahead of time. If someone intends bodily harm, if someone is going to, manipulate my mind to the point of confusion I can't see my way out of. Let no harm come to me. My energetic boundaries were like, moat with a dragon, and, like flaming arrows on the parapets, and that's what they're called, right? I had the whole 9 yards. Literally in my mind, had flaming dragons, and if I sensed an energy come near me that wasn't immediately clear, you got the flame. I wanted complete safety in my energetic space. But that allowed no communion with others. And the attraction that is necessary to move forward in life in cooperation with others, and that fulfilling communicative joy that we give to each other, that playfulness, the shared experience of creating together. I haven't trusted anyone to do that with, and partly because I had pushed everybody outside that boundary. And so that's what I mean by toxic boundaries, that we can create boundaries, and once you have a little energetic power, you have to undo them yourself. Don't expect people to come close to you when you are sending out signals that you are dangerous in a way. That if they get too close, you will be testing them, and if they fail that test, they won't be allowed back again. I had a friend of mine, we were going to do a retreat together, run a retreat together, and the month before the retreat, she went through some stuff and basically shut me out. This happens, people need their space. But then after the retreat had to get canceled, partly because of this, I needed to kind of heal from a letdown of that, and she would not let me take space. So she called, she texted, she emailed. She said, I'm going to show up at your house. Like, it's been 2 days. You took a month and didn't talk to me. I took 2 days. So the rules for her boundaries were one way, the rules for my boundaries were another. And then I had to put up oh, nope, now you don't get to come back. Because now the rules have gotten confusing, and you don't seem safe, and I don't know how to make you safe in my world again. And that's what, the really damaging part of trauma is everybody has to have, you actually have to contemplate a little bit the nature of the boundaries that you're having with people on an individual basis, and be willing to change them as needed if you get to the state of threat. And the really great thing would be if you could have open communication about it. That would be a non-toxic boundary where you can verbally express, this is what I expect in my relationships. This is what I can give, and this is what I expect. And no hard feelings if we're not a match. I think what happens so often now is we've gotten into the shame-based version of boundaries, where a lot of people are doing this. Like, it's too much to contemplate if you're a good person or not. So here's a few things, despite whatever the nuance may be, you either meet these qualifications or you're out, and I don't care. So I think we're all dealing with, how do we integrate happily a comfortable feeling of boundaries with each other when we have so much more access to each other's lives in ways that we didn't give strangers. We didn't give strangers access to our lives in the way that we do now. So all of our boundaries are a little bit sensitive and touchy and unclear. And for those of us who have trauma histories, that's going to be an even bigger deal that you'll need to examine closely. And then as you're doing that, utilize those energetic spaces to keep out literal dangers, but try to find a way to soften and smooth the attractive quality of yourself so that you are not also dimming your shine. Because they tend to go hand in hand. As you attempt to keep people out, you dim your shine so they aren't attracted to you. So you turn the attraction back up. I mean, have you ever just watched a YouTuber where you're like, oh my God, I love this person. Wow. And then just like, why the hell do I love this person? They have an attractive quality to their aura. And it's okay to have that. You have to know that you can trust yourself to know who should come close and who shouldn't come close, and set those rules and state them clearly to yourself and out loud and with your guidance team. And know that you can kick everybody out. You can kick everybody out and sit completely alone in your own little centered state of a being. But it's not very much fun for very long. That was a big long ramble. And I am doing cards. Oh man, does the algorithm not like it when I do this? It will not send out my videos, but I think I might have to do cards on another channel. I do have another channel I started. I haven't posted videos on it, and I might just do cards there for energy readings, and then just leave this one for more of the specific, like, hey, this is how you get over trauma stuff once you become an energy master in training. It's just nice to have the little clarification, backup, what's the word I'm looking for? Validation. So, validation from the cards, that's why I'm doing it. Some people need it. Alchemy. Yeah, so that's really what we're talking about here, is setting the directions for whatever the energy was and why it keeps presenting itself the way it does, and then allowing it to be changed turning lead into gold. It's good to be able to have boundaries. Make sure that you're setting them properly. Be that energetic master of your life, and your ability to create right now is largely in your mental space, because we just don't have access to all the building materials to do other stuff. So, all right, what do you got here? So we can establish community again with each other. I love these Earth cards so much. Yeah, that community experience with each other and supporting each other and finding the tribe and the vibe and the goodness that feels right to your heart, and instead of leaving it up to chance and just a mere reflection of like this random chaotic energy, actually trying to make it coherent with what you need, what you desire, what will make you feel safe. So childhood consciousness is what jumped out. That's the mental state. So allowing that inner child some room. We, I think, attempt to secure our inner child to the point where we almost cage them a little bit in our mind, and it's like letting that freedom and creativity back out from the mental standpoint, that joyful, playful nature of the child. I wonder if I should read that one. Well, let's see what. Oh, dragonfly. Dragonfly is always the good medicine, right? I like to see dragonflies. They always make me feel connected to the spirit realms. So, and then the Maiden of Fire. That's our like youthful energy of spirit, the ability to create. I mean, think about, some of you might be young enough to be in it, but what it was like to like feel like the world was your oyster. That innate primal drive within. We'll read this one. That's where we're going. This is the where are we going card. Let's read that. Do you think I should read that child consciousness one too? Let's see. Maiden of Fire. Okay. There we go. Okay, the Maiden of Fire is the wild woman who burns through the status quo with her heart of fire. She releases the binds to the old and transmutes the mundane, outmoded form into the new earth. She is unattached to the past, bringing innovation and cutting-edge perspective. This revolutionary goddess of fire is here to assist you in the fiery release of all that shackles you to the past and outmoded form. You are ready for her pure flame to ignite your passion to and express your to ascend in frequency that you may change, heal, and express your untamed essence. She brings the revolutionary power of change to you, inviting you to step into your true radiance and shine the light for others. I think this has come up in some version before. So that's yeah, that pretty well sums it up, right? So we're transmuting some of those old the imprints are there, the pathways are there. What we need to do is use them to our benefit. You know how to protect yourself because you've been doing it. It's turning that into a specific filter that it's to your benefit, right? So that we can have community, so that you are able to attract your tribe and feel the joy of being in community. Because when you're like traumatized and you isolate and you cut off, it's like the continuation of that trauma. And to really heal from it is to know, I don't want that, I do want this, and there's nothing wrong with that. And now you have the power and the support of the spiritual world to accomplish it, that you might not have known was available when you were younger and it happened to you. Younger in years or younger in wisdom. So that you can feel this beautiful child consciousness, the freedom of the child within. To create, to explore, to play. Those are great feelings for a human to have, right? And it reignites the passion, so that everything gets a little bit better once we go through that journey. All right, so take care. Thank you for being here. Please feel free to leave any comments or questions below. Till next time.